Hello, I'm Deborah Walker, and I'm here with Barbara Sellers to talk about her new book on DealDash, Get Tough or Die, Why I Forgave My Parents for My Abusive Childhood. Welcome, Barbara. First, tell me about DealDash. What's DealDash?
Well, DealDash is a fun and exciting penny auction site where customers can go and purchase a package of bids, and then they can use those bids to try to win a bargain on the latest products that they might want or need. Many times, customers win products that are worth hundreds or thousands of dollars for less than $1 or even pennies. So it's a really fun and exciting place and a new way to shop that saves a lot of gas and time. I mean, you can even shop in the middle of the night if you want to. So it's very convenient to have these products sent right to your doorstep, and shipping is always free. So in other words, DealDash.com is just a really fun and exciting way to shop. But it is important to read blogs on how to play smart so that you can win more auctions.
Okay, great. That sounds really interesting. I'll have to check that shopping site out. So how did you happen to get on the DealDash website?
Well, I wanted to write my book for the last 50 years. I kept notes in a file for more than 50 years because I knew that I had to wait for the right time to write this book, because it's about surviving spouse and child abuse. My mother survived spouse abuse, and I'm one of 14 children. I'm the sixth born from a family of 14, 7 girls and 7 boys. We grew up on a large farm in Minnesota, and our father was very abusive. When I was 5 years old, he held a gun to my head. When I was 11 years old, he whipped me with a broken corn knife, and oftentimes he put me and my brothers and sisters into life-threatening situations because he would put us in jobs that were way beyond our skill level to perform safely, and a lot of times we were just lucky we survived. So it's a very difficult topic about how 12 of us who are still living, we now range in age from, my oldest brother is 78 and the youngest is 59. I'm 72, so I'm getting up there in the years. And it took me a very long time to write this book. I knew that I would eventually write it, and I figured it was now or never, because when you get to be my age, every day is a gift from God. And I heard a Toastmaster give a speech and say that one of the richest places on earth is a graveyard, because so many people die without ever achieving their dreams and goals. So when they die, their treasures are buried with them. And I didn't want that to happen to me. After I earned a bachelor's degree at the University of Puget Sound, it was English writing, but it was the equivalent of journalism. And then I spent a number of years working as a newspaper reporter and editor at the Fort Lewis, what used to be the Fort Lewis Army Post. But then now they joined with McChord Air Force Base, and so now it's called Joint Base Lewis McChord. Well, there I wrote more than 4,000 stories, and many of the stories that I covered required me to talk to subject matter experts about child and spouse abuse prevention, drug and drunk driving prevention, suicide prevention, So covering all of those stories and talking with subject matter experts really helped me get more prepared to write this book and do a more effective job of it. So after I retired, I was looking for a speech topic for Toastmasters, and I had to give a technical speech. So I decided to give a speech about penny auction sites. And I selected 4 of them, and DealDash was one of them. After I got done giving my speech, I was very interested in learning a little bit more, and I decided that if I were to do an in-depth study, I could prepare a report and offer the report to the CEOs of the penny auction sites, and I could suggest what was good, what was bad, and what I would suggest that they do to improve it. And I sent out the same letter to 4 CEOs of penny auction sites. Only one responded. The one that responded was DealDash, because the former CEO and the founder of DealDash, William Wolfram, was smart enough to know that it's important to listen to your customers' feedback. And he always made that a number 1 priority. What do my customers want? What do my customers think? How do they feel that this would be a better penny auction site? So he offered me a free package of bids in exchange for my in-depth report. And I decided, hey, this guy listens to his customers, and I was thrilled. So I continued to provide feedback every chance I got. And so that was exciting. And then eventually he also put me in his TV commercial. I was the one who said, I won this free TV, 55-inch TV for less than $30 on DealDash.com. And then after I retired as a newspaper editor, and I won several journalism awards. We won the Thomas Jefferson Award twice, because we were the best paper out of more than 6,000. And
now, is this a prestigious award?
Oh, it's a very prestigious award, because it's the top award for being best newspaper out of more than 6,000 in all 4 branches of the military. Altogether, I won 30 journalism awards. So I'm a powerful writer.
And a very good one,
If you've been there, done that, felt that, it helps you to write with passion. And that's what I always try to do. So after I retired, I decided, well, maybe this is the time for me to write my book. I saved notes in a file for more than 50 years, and I had interviewed relatives that had since passed away. Now that I'm 72, well, when I retired, I was 62, and I thought, well, it's now or never. And the problem is that writing a book about surviving child abuse is a very difficult subject. I knew that it would be difficult because it meant that I would have to go back and revisit some of my childhood trauma. Like when I was 5 years old, my father held a gun to my head. When I was 11 years old, he whipped me with a broken corn knife. And many of my siblings also survived severe beatings. And so my book is a hard-hitting book addressing the problem of spouse and child abuse, because my mother was a victim of spouse abuse. That made her too afraid of my father to be able to protect us when he was being abusive toward us children. She just sort of stood by and watched or stayed out of the way, and she wasn't able to come to our rescue. My last chapter is called The Power of Forgiveness. Many of us think that when we forgive others who have abused or wronged us, that we are giving the other person a gift. That's not true. When we forgive others, we are giving ourselves a gift. Because if we keep bad feelings, hatred, or grudges locked up inside of us. It's only going to ruin our own health. We need to be able to let it go.
And that doesn't mean you have to go and be best chums with the person either.
No,
or even ever see them again.
John F. Kennedy said, forgive your enemies, but always remember their names. I mean, you don't have to be friends with these people who have wronged you or have abused you in any way. It just means that, well, the best gift we have to give to another person is our time. And it takes a lot of time and effort to do an effective job of hating somebody. Why would we want to give the gift of our time to somebody who have wronged us or abused us? We need to learn to let it go for our own good. And I think I get that point across very well in my last chapter called The Power of Forgiveness. Very important.
So I think it's very important to know also, it is clear from your message that when we live in the past, we're kind of like slaves to the past, and you can't really move well into the future unless you can get rid of those.
That's true. Well, but because my book meant that writing my book meant that I had to go back and revisit the childhood trauma that I went through. I knew that would be very difficult, and over the last 10 years, I started writing my book many times and stopped because I just couldn't handle it. But then the last time that I went back to writing my book, because even though it was a very difficult book to write, I also felt that it was a book that needed to be written for the benefit of others. So I mentioned it to William Graham, who is the founder of DealDash, and he asked me to send him some sample chapters. So I did. And he wrote back and he said, your writing is awesome and I would like to invest in your book. Well, I was thrilled because one of the reasons I wasn't motivated to finish my book is because I didn't have the money to print it or get it printed. So when he offered to invest in my book, I thought, wow, I need to finish this book. And I got really motivated. Once I got focused and motivated, I finished my book in 2 months.
Wow.
and then it was a matter of, okay, how am I going to get this book published? Well, I had the honor and privilege of actually knowing my publisher because she used to work for me when I was a newspaper editor. She was an officer in the Army, and then she went back to Pennsylvania when she got out of the Army, and I wrote her a letter of recommendation, and she got a job at Rodale Books. And about 5 years later, we kept in contact over the years. She decided to join up with a woman doctor and produce a series of books for military spouses that would be self-help books because oftentimes military spouses find themselves living far away from home, far away from their mothers, so they don't have them to consult with, and their husbands are deployed. And she wanted to provide a series of books or a website and a website. She wrote the books and created a website that they could go to as a resource to get answers to questions from 50 different women doctors who were also mothers. Mm-hmm. And so I already knew that she was a powerful writer and a hard worker, a good editor. So I decided to go with her. For one thing, she's a hybrid publisher. Now, somebody on DealDash, they gave a review of my book and thought that my book was self-published. Well, it's not actually self-published. It's a step up from that because when you choose a hybrid publisher, the publisher still it sends it through a process of whether or not the manuscript is good enough for them to accept. And they won't just print any old book just for the money. It has to be a good book or they won't accept it because they have a reputation to protect. And so it was an honor and a privilege to have known my publisher, and I think that it worked out a lot better than if I had gone with a major publisher, because this way I maintained control over my manuscript, and if the publisher wanted to change something, I had the ability to accept it or reject it. And I think that when we went back and forth about should we use photos, should we not use photos, how many photos, that helped a lot to make my book better. And
it gives you a perspective outside of your own, first of all, to know what's going to sell and what's going to, ride with readers.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I'm very excited because so far my book has been doing very well. It has been on Amazon Kindle for about 3 months, and I got 22 5-star reviews on Amazon Kindle. And some people said, well, it's easy to get the 5-star reviews from family and friends. And I said, yes,
I'm not that
but
generous just because they're family or friends.
the thing is, 42 people have already reviewed my book on DealDash, and I don't know those people from Adam. They are strangers from all over the country. And so far, out of 5 points, I have a 4.95.
Wow.
And that means all of them, I think all of them except 1 or 2, gave me all stars because they are very impressed with my book and they're very happy with it. So they have written some pretty good comments. So far, one of them said, good book for my teenage daughter, a gift for an avid reader. Hope she loves it. Great read. Sad story, but great read. It's an excellent self-help book. Excellent book, great book, easy read, and to find yourself visualizing the story as a movie. Very good book. My wife loved it. So, I'm getting very good reviews both on Amazon and on DealDash.
And Amazon, by the way, is still only available on Kindle, right? It's not released on paperback yet.
Well, it's going to be on Sunday.
Sunday.
It gets
2 days
released
away,
on
September 1st.
September 1st.
Yes.
The paperback gets released on Amazon on September 1st. So we're just days away from that. And by the time anybody sees this video, it will already have been released on Amazon.
Now, should they buy it on Amazon or should they try to buy it here on DealDash?
Well, the thing is, my book has been going very quickly on DealDash. So sometimes the bidding goes longer than other times. However, one lucky customer on DealDash won my book for only 2 cents.
And also, they don't have to pay shipping, right?
Right, they don't have to pay shipping.
2 cents.
So
Wow.
if DealDash customers put only 10 bids on my book, the next 3 times it goes up for auction, they're almost guaranteed to win my book. One of those 3 times. If they just place a minimum of 10 bids each time my book goes up for auction, and then they could end up winning my book for less than $1. So that would be an awesome deal because my book very likely might become a New York Times bestseller. But another reason that they should bid on my book, first of all, it's a powerful read. Most people say that it's a real page turner, and once they start reading my book, they can't put it down.
I gotta tell you, I got maybe hundreds. No, not quite. I have so many books on my shelf that are only partially read. A ton of them. And most of them are nonfiction, of course. And, so maybe I just don't read them all. But most of the time, I just kind of get bored before I finish or I get uninterested. But this one, I read the whole book. And it wasn't even a topic I was necessarily interested in. It was just really easy for me to read and to process and kind of experience what Barbara was experiencing without actually being too traumatizing to read. So it's very, very worth a read. Very, very, very well.
Yes, and a lot of people don't like to read books, but most of us know somebody who does. And Christmas is just around the corner. And even if you don't want to read my book yourself, it's good. It would make an excellent gift for somebody who does enjoy reading, for excellent birthday or Christmas gift. And so it's an easy auction to win, and it's an excellent read. So it would be a good idea for just about any customer who wants to win an auction to place some bids on Get Tough or Die, Why I Forgave My Parents for My Abusive Childhood. It's a good self-help book. One person said, I thought I had an abusive childhood till I read your book, this book. And another person told me that she hadn't spoken to her parents for 20 years because she thought that she had such bad parents until she read my book. And then she reconnected with her parents, and now she has a close bond with them. So that made my book worth writing right there, just because it helped that one person. I think we're all here to help each other. And
Yeah. Well, thank you, Barbara. And I
Right.
think if you want to know more, you can visit barbarasellers.com, her website, and follow her on her blog and see other interviews with Barbara. And you can check her out on Facebook at Get Tough or Die. And the book, it's coming out, the paperback, September 1st. But you can, after this video is over, you can just go on DealDash and just start bidding. And good luck.